This slide talks about the results of faith according to Paul and the writer of James. James is a letter which seems like a sermon, and the name seems to attribute it to Jesus' brother, although it's widely considered not to have been written by Jesus' brother James. Now, in Paul, one becomes righteous through faith, but that faith is validated by certain works or aspects. And Paul lists those. Now, these lists of virtues are not exclusive to Paul. In fact, they appear all over the place in Greek literature from that time. But these aspects, these lists of virtues, are the product of the Holy Spirit coming into one's mind and guiding one, which takes place because of faith. So notice what Paul says is a virtue. Things like joy and peace and love and kindness and generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Again, those virtues often appear in other lists of virtues that appear in Greek literature from that time. So in other words, when one allows the Spirit of God or the Holy Spirit to fill their mind, according to Paul, one is guided to do those things. If one does not display these, then there is a question of whether or not the Holy Spirit has actually entered into one's life. James, on the other hand, sees works as a necessary part of faith, not the result of faith. He seems to be responding to people who say that faith alone is enough for salvation. And he says that faith without works is dead. He gives the example of somebody, and this would be somebody in the church, who is needy, and another person says, well, I believe in God, so that makes me righteous. And James says, no way. In fact, you need to take care of those who are in need. And if you have faith, but you do not help somebody who is in need, then what good is your faith? Or is it even faith? Or is it even capable of bringing salvation? So you can see the contrast of different approaches to the question of good works and faith in James and Paul.